Best case scenario for conversion is 6 months. Standard conversion time is between 1 year to 2 years. So I can't stop tracking at 6 months. Data as at last year showed that for a company with 100 to 500 employees has minimum 7 members in the decision-making committee or in the buying committee. When you think about LinkedIn for marketing or for even your own personal growth, you need to think about the member first. You have to think about who else is on this platform and what are they doing on this platform. The mindset of that person is very important for your strategy. If you don't adjust to that, you will struggle to make headway on the platform. The mindset of a person on LinkedIn is not looking to connect with friends and share cut videos or share memes, but they're looking to empower each other or to learn from each other or to discover insights. When you think about you in an organization and other members in your organization also creating profiles, it starts inferring leadership and experience and seniority. So there's a lot of data that, yes, it can be taken as is, as when you create your profile and when the company creates a profile, but there's a lot of it that's inferred, but also based on a big array of data that's provided onto the platform. Then there's interest. What content are you consuming? Where are you commenting? What are you posting? What are you reading? What are you saving? All those then show your intent. For someone who's interested in sustainability, it's a big thing right now. You're reading these articles, you're saving these articles. This then becomes an interest, you're then categorized into an interest category based on this behavior, based on what you're consuming and how you're consuming it. The first category of targeting is the simple targeting that's provided from the campaign manager. You go in and say, I'm targeting an audience in Kenya. I am targeting people of 25 years of age upwards. I just want to speak to speak to people in the manager level upwards. And you can even go further and say, I want people who work in the job function of IT, right? So it enables you to really narrow down your targeting, and it's great. And I think this is one of the things that really differentiate LinkedIn from other social media channels. But you can still go further ahead in the targeting, and this is in the custom segments. As I said, the way you interact, the content you engage in, where you comment, based on that interaction, because you're not on your own, there's a big population that's doing the same thing, you're then categorized into certain interest-based targeting or interest-based groups. That's why a company can say, or you as an advertiser can come in and say, I want to target people who have an interest in startups. Then you've got your custom segments. The custom segments are a little bit like interest-based categories. However, they are predefined algorithm perimeters that then determine if you actually fit in this category. So I'll use the simplest one to understand, business travelers, and we use every 3-month period. So if every time you travel, when you think about it, when you go to a different country, your phone will pick up an IP address of that particular country, right? Your frequency of being in and out or changing these IP addresses then determines, based on the perimeters of the algorithm, if you should be categorized as a business traveler. When you think about mass affluent, another good example now, what LinkedIn does is that it looks at the profile of this person in terms of what they have put in with regards to their experience. It also looks at the leadership content that they put out onto the platform. It then looks at how they speak and what they reference in a lot of what they talk about to determine, does this person have $100,000 in investable income? If you've been fully invested in the marketing strategies within your business, you know how to create or identify website audiences. You're tracking the audience that's coming to your website. What LinkedIn offers is some line of code, which is called a tag, which will then be installed, and anyone who comes to your website, their profile is then matched onto LinkedIn. And if that profile of that interaction is matched to a profile on LinkedIn, you then get added to an audience group. And remember, even as you create this website targeting or this website audience, you can still layer it with the other attributes. So you can say, okay, I have this website audience. I can't really tell if all of them are at decision-making roles, or if they meet the job titles of the person or the people I'm trying to target. So you can come back and say, this is my website audience, and I want to target it further by only reaching out to the people at manager level upwards, or I just want to target the people who are business owners. Then we've got email contact targeting. When you collect email addresses and phone numbers and names, you can create a document that can then be uploaded onto LinkedIn to match the profiles. And in terms of data protection, from a LinkedIn perspective, you can actually encrypt the data and upload it as an encrypted file. So we, as the campaign managers or the teams in marketing managing your campaigns, will never be able to unpack that data. But you can use that data to enhance the value that you provide into your customers. Considering we're a reseller for LinkedIn learning and talent solutions, best case scenario for conversion is 6 months. Standard conversion time is between 1 year to 2 years. So I can't stop tracking at 6 months. By 2 years, I'm bringing them right back. Figure out, why is it that they haven't converted over this period? Is it budgets? Is it my offering is not ideal? Is it that they've not fully understand my product? And then we have account-based targeting. Basically, account targeting is where you have a list of accounts, and accounts here are businesses, right? So B2B, you're targeting other companies. And if you're targeting other companies, you either know the name of the companies, or you know the LinkedIn URL for the company page, or you know the decision makers in those organizations. So you're able to target them from that perspective. The lookalike audience is basically using any of the audience categories we've gone through to target to broaden that audience, target another person who matches the profile but was not in the initial bucket. Especially for high ticket items or solutions that are going to be used by a large group of people, which is usually what corporates more often than not will purchase. There's not one decision maker, period. There are 4 different categories of people in the buying committees. And it doesn't mean that it's one person in each category. There could be 2 in 1, could be 1 in 1, could be 3 in 1. It varies. In fact, data as at last year showed that for a company with 100 to 500 employees has minimum 7 members in the decision-making committee or in the buying committee. First is the champion. This is the person who's very enthusiastic about the solution. Usually it's the user, right? Or the person who benefits the most but then has no say whatsoever. They cannot influence the decision. They cannot pay for the solution, but they are big champions. So they're the ones who are constantly advocating, we need this, we need this, we need this, and this will work for us. And they, to a certain extent, actually support the supplier in the buying process. You find that the champion, as much as they don't have great impact in the decision making, they do champion for the supplier. So they're very important in the buying process. Then you have the decision maker, who of course is the final person. And then you have the influencer. And the influencer is important because for them, they're the technical. They look at the specifications. They have the experience, they have the credibility. They're the ones who can go and turn a decision around that the decision maker has made, because they'll speak from a point of knowledge and fact, right? Then we have the blocker. I think all of us have experienced a blocker. So a blocker normally just creates problem where there are none. Finance. Complicate issues, what to renegotiate, procurement. So they don't necessarily look at the value. They look at one little thing and they make it the biggest problem. So the blocker may vary. It might even be the department head who's the blocker, because they know that if they shrink their budget for the year, then they earn a bonus. If they spend less in marketing, then they get a bonus. So a blocker could be in any department. It's very important to understand, based on your product, who's your champion, who's your decision maker, who's your influencer, and who's your blocker. And once you've identified this, then you need to engage them differently and separately. You need to have communication for each of them that will then counter where they're coming from. So for a champion, you want to give them as much resources as you can for them to continue championing for you. For the decision maker, you want to make them imagine the value they'll have after that decision is made. For the influencer, you want to make sure that you align with what exactly they consider the facts as far as the solution is concerned and the value it's going to bring in. For the blocker, you want to make sure that you have a way to help them understand from from that point at which they're blocking, why the solution is important and why they shouldn't block it. I have 2 case studies. This is actually a case study from almost 3 years ago. And this was Telkom. What they were trying to do is to target decision makers in IT and the tech buying committee. So when an IT solution is being purchased within businesses, you'll find that there are people who ideally sit in that decision-making process, including in the board. So what they wanted to do is, because it was a tech solution, they wanted first, let's just get the IT people to understand. This is what we have to offer. This is how it's beneficial. This is how we'll work with you to ensure that you implement it and optimize it. And then for their second audience is now the buying committee. And now this is everyone else, right? Your influencer, your blocker, and your champion. But they wanted to reach the IT person first. Delivered great results, high CTRs, high reach, high engagement. The other thing that I liked about this campaign was that they used video. You see, with video, you can say so much more. For tech companies or for high ticket items, you're not going to create content every month. You're going to create good content that you can use for 6 months. So it's about planning ahead. We also had Safaricom. They were trying to push out their broadband. Also, this case study is 3 years old. And what they were looking for, they were promoting their home solution for broadband, and they were also promoting the solution for middle-sized companies, right? So the strategy for them was, how do we reach these people? And which are these buying committees? It wasn't as refined as I would have wanted it, but we broke it down to 2 audiences. So we said primarily, we've got just about every Kenyan has a side hustle, right? And to have a side hustle, you probably have internet or need internet at a certain level. Worst case scenario, if you're not, you'll be an influencer in a small enterprise that you're working in, because they're not targeting big companies. They're targeting small companies. And then what we went further to do is that when we were looking at this secondary audience, we broke it down to different categories in terms of who are you as a decision maker, who are you in the committee? Are you more concerned about budget? Are you more concerned about latency, or the quality of the internet? Are you more concerned about if it's not costs, security, and the rest of that infrastructure? And with Safaricom, they were willing to create different pieces of content. So basically what account-based marketing does is that it enables you to focus on a more targeted audience and generate the same or even better value, right? And when you have a smaller audience, you're able to actually be more targeted in your communication, because you've identified them as this 1,000 out of the previous 100,000. And that's what ABM is all about. And this ideally the key steps to focus on when you think about ABM. If as marketing teams we invested more in the partnership between marketing and sales, or even getting the salespeople to invest in our marketing processes even more, there's better value for the business across the board. And the how to do this is when it comes to researching the accounts. So first, we all need to be synced to agree that we're working together on this campaign. Marketing and sales, sawa. We know what the budgets are, we know what the targets are. So as a marketing person who's not responsible for targets, they need to understand what the targets are. For someone in sales who is measured on targets, need to be concerned about what budgets does marketing have to make it as refined as possible. We need to be invested as teams. And this then enables us to find out what is our existing customer base in terms of who are we targeting. Also, identifying which ones are the most profitable. Salespeople always know what the most profitable accounts are. Why? Because they already have similar accounts on their book. And then marketing comes in with its own set, whereby they start setting up the targeting based on this insight. So it's looking at which market are we targeting, what's the company size, and how big is that audience. And then relevant content. Again, once you've segmented this audience, once you've narrowed it down, it's very easy for you to then narrow down or customize the content. Because once you have a smaller audience, then it's easier for you to be more specific in what they need. Your content then becomes more relevant, it delivers better, you have higher ROIs, and you build stronger relationships. Because if your content is very targeted and speaks to those particular needs, and for example, you use an ad format like the message ads on LinkedIn, whereby the message is delivered to the member's inbox, and maybe even using the conversation ad, whereby you can actually have 3 to 4 call to actions, where you can ask this member or this target audience, are you looking for solution X for your business? Which are your challenges based on below? And you add challenge 1, challenge 2, challenge, and they select one of each. Based on how they select, you can then have a prompt that then responds to that particular challenge. So it feels like you understand what this customer is looking for. It feels like you have the solution that this customer is looking for.